Hello guys, and we are here again for another MKM or Murders at Karlov Manor standard deck tech, but we look upon this build if you are yet new or somewhat a new player in the game and would want to try somewhat competitive deck for the standard format. So this is one of the suggested deck list, in which I mean that if we are just looking for a straightforward aggro deck, then I would suggest that green would be the best color choice. And for that, we have a deck list today that called this one as the mono green Stompy deck, suggested by Ace MTG. It was submitted from one of the users submitted deck list on the MTG Goldfish website. We're going to discover here what will be the typical build, or let's say an outlook of this build in the upcoming MKM standard, or it's probably legal now to play as of this uploading of this deck tech video. So we are here with a main deck build, and maybe we'll just have some sideboard suggestions afterwards. So we're going to start off with, of course, the creatures, which we have 34 in the build, and 22 lands, and only 4 sorcery in the form of this hard-hitting question. Hard-hitting question would mean that should this deck become a tire aggro deck in the coming metagame? Let's see in our future observations of this list and basing it on the tournament results uploaded from MTG Online in the local tournament scenario. But first off, we're going to check what will be our 1-drops. So we have here somewhat a similar effect of a build or a 1-drop ability in the form of the Ascendant Pack Leader and Evolving Adaptive. So what you'll notice here is that it will get some counters if enters the battlefield if you control a permanent with mana value 4 or greater, and then if you cast a spell with mana value 4 or greater, you will put up some counter on the Pack Leader. Another form here with the Adaptive is that it gets to enter the battlefield with an oil counter on it and gets +1 for each of the oil counter, and whenever another creature enters the battlefield, if the creature has greater power or toughness than Able Adaptive, then you get to add an oil counter, and in effect it will also get a +1 for each of the oil counters. So this typical 1-drop in the deck would be really efficient and also essential to have on your turn 1 as you would play either of these creatures. And for your 2-drops, we have 2 copies of Flourishing Bloomkin. So this is more of the Dungrove Elder effect because it gets +1 for each of the forests you control. Hence, the deck would only cater 22 forests and a single Busidu in the land choices. And if ever you get to be able to disguise it and it is turn face up, you may search library for up to 2 forest cards and reveal them, and put them one of them in the battlefield, tap, and the other into your hand, then shuffle. So with that benefit of the ability, it is also important that you can also curve it on turn 2, given that you have only forests in your lands. It will come to play as a 2/2, and then as more forests comes to play, or you play more forests from your hand, you would also have this one pump, and you get also 3/3, 4/4, and so on and so forth. Another 2-drop that's also important in the deck is the Kiron Beastkeeper, Beast Caller I mean, which is whenever casting a spell or creature spell, you got to +1 counter on it, and when it dies, distribute this number of +1 counters among any number of target creatures you control, where X is the number of +1 counters added on Kiron Beast Caller. So in any case, the more spells or creature spells you cast, the more Beast Caller gets bigger, and also with the benefit, if it ever gets killed or dies, you can transfer the other +1 counters from its creature to any other relevant creature in your board. And for also the 4 copies of the 4-drop, the 2-drop is the Sharp-Eyed Rookie. So this is now the new card from MKM, in which this is also having also an effect whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control. So it will check if its power is greater than Sharp-Eyed Rookie's power, or toughness is greater than that of Sharp-Eyed Rookie's toughness. You put up some counter on this creature, and also investigate by also creating a clue token under your board. So these variants of your 2-drops with the Beast Caller and that of the Sharp-Eyed Rookie would make sure that you get to benefit also whenever another creature is placed under your battlefield under your control, or you cast a creature spell. So with that, with the 2-drops under the 2 mana cost. You get also this next in line with the 3 mana cost of the Kodama of the West 3. This also gets you to modified effect benefit in you have your modified creatures you control have trample. So let's do a quick recall on the modified creatures. Creatures with Pasalbasan added on them or Pasalbasan counters added are considered as modified. So those modified creatures would also get the benefit to gain trample, and also whenever a modified creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you can search library for a basic land, in which this case it would be forest, and then put into the battlefield tap. So in a way also it gets you to ramp, and also it will have you to get a benefit to filter out lands in your library, and also get you a higher chance to draw the rest of your creatures for each of your draw step. Now for your another 3 of the mana cost is Pulokranos Reborn from March of the Machines. This is just a 3 to cost 4/5 creature that can also transform for 6 and white mana, or 6 and 2 life. If you're able to transform this one, you get an Engine of Ruin, which is also a 6/6 rich lifelink. If it another non-token Hydra control dies or Pulokranos dies, you will create a 3/3 green and white Phyrexian Hydra token with reach, and a 3/3 green and white Phyrexian Hydra token with lifelink. So this is also a Wormcoil effect engine, but the important thing is that you can just curve out for a 3-drop 4/5 with reach, which also gets you to get a beating of a good attacker by third 3. And also with the 3-drop here, it would be the 4 copies of Sentinel of the Nameless City. This is also gets you a map token, so map tokens will also efficient to get you to draw your lands from the top card library, or also get you to filter out unnecessary creatures by placing them in the graveyard. And also get, of course, Pasalbasan counters, which in turn also benefit you with the Kodama of the West 3's ability for modified creatures. Now for your 4-drop, or the 4 mana cost, is the new card Axbin Ferox. So this is now the version of that of the 4/4/4/4 that can also attack the turn it comes to play with haste and death touch. It also can protect itself with the ward of Collect Evidence 4. The Collect Evidence is that you would have your player that targets this, or your opponent, exile a card with the total mana value 4 or greater from your graveyard, or exile cards equal to 4 or greater to be able to counter this ward ability of that of the Axbane Ferox. So this is also important in the curve, and this gets you the benefit to attack at the same time as it can comes to play. And also we have 4 copies of another 4-drop, which is Doomskar Warrior. This is also a backup ability wood one with trample. The backup ability, as we know, is that whenever it enters the battlefield, you can just back up for 1, and the other creature that was placed with this backup would also copy this ability until end of turn. So this is also important here because it can get the curve on your creature that can also have this one attack and deals combat damage to a player or battle, and then look at many cards from the top of your library, and then reveal a creature or land card from among them, in which also a gas for that one, and then put the rest on the bottom library in random order. So also a good way to sort of a semi-cantrip, and lets you draw a card, or draw a creature card or land card from the top cards that was revealed by its ability. So in any way, you can just do some combat math or combat tricks by this one, as long as any of your situation would recommend. So that currently is your curve for your creatures. In total, that is 34 in the main deck. And let's check again the only removal in the deck, which is the hard-hitting question. An uncommon card from MKM. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature planeswalker you don't control. It's only sorcery speed, that's the only drawback, but the important thing here is that it is 1 to cast. So you can basically curve out pretty well with your best creatures, or probably bigger creatures that would need for you to have as a target for the hard-hitting question, and then use its ability before combat, so that you can also pave way for a huge attack from your other creatures. And that for the lands, we still have Busiju here as an only non-land copy, but it's also a channel land. It is very important for this card to have because of its ability that can destroy enchantments, artifacts, or non-basic lands, which are at times very relevant in case that you can have you will need to face those kind of setup against your opponent. And last but not the least, your deck stats. Average curve is surprisingly low with 2.32. We have a lot of 1 drops and 2 drops in the deck to make sure that having only 3 lands maybe for your card or starting lands would be enough for you to do an aggressive start and attack right away with this deck. And our contribution, we don't need to question here because we are going with monocolor, so just green on that. The tokens and extras, we have clue token, map token from the Sentinel, and then the Prexia Hydra that are produced by the Polokranos reborn when flipped into a Polokranos engine of ruin. So I guess that's pretty much it for this deck. We have again Mono Green Stompy by ASMTG. Just a pretty basic aggro color monocolor deck for the standard format with the release of MKM or Murders at Karlov Manor. If you enjoyed this build, just let me know in the comments any questions or suggestions. We can have a good discussion for this build and have it maybe play test or do a gameplay discussion in the next video. Maybe we can have it for MG Arena. I'm not sure if we can still have this lineup in our current card pool, but let us see if we can have that one on our upcoming or future release of MCG Arena gameplay videos. Again guys, that's pretty much it for this deck tech Mono Green Stompy. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and see you guys on the next one.